Hey everybody, David here with a video response to a thread that was started by my good friend Rob Walker over in the UK. And he's asked us to share our favorite albums from a certain year. He showed albums from 1979, I believe, and I've decided to go with the flip of that, 1997. I was 20 years old, attending college, and there was just a lot of great music released that year. And I'm going to kick things off with the Foo Fighters, The Color and the Shape. This was the band's second album. The first one was a little more gimmicky with some of the songs. This one felt like it was more of a proper album. And you know, you had songs like Monkey Wrench, Up in Arms, My Hero, February Stars, Everlong, Walking After You. Just a great follow-up album and sophomore album from the Foo Fighters. Next we have Nimrod from Green Day. This was the follow-up album to Dookie, I believe. This has songs like Nice Guys Finish Last, Hitchin' a Ride, Redundant, Uptight, King for a Day, and my favorite from the album, Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. So, Nimrod from Green Day. Next is one of my favorites from Our Lady Peace, and this is her album Clumsy. This featured the tracks Superman's Dead, 4 AM, Clumsy. Just an excellent album from this Canadian band. I think they're from Toronto. Our Lady Peace, and one that I still listen to, and it still holds up pretty good, pretty well. I don't know. My wife's an English teacher. She'll let me know when she sees this video. Next, we have Depeche Mode, Ultra. This was an album that I felt like Depeche Mode had a little bit more of an edge to them. Like they had some like heavy guitar work in some of these songs. You had songs like Barrel of a Gun, Home, It's No Good, Free State, The Bottom Line, Insight. Just an excellent album from Depeche Mode. Probably my second favorite album, just behind Violator. Marcy Playground. Who can forget Sex and Candy? It was all over the radio. This is one that I just picked up recently on vinyl. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. It was released on Record Store Day. I didn't find it in my store, but my friend in Georgia was on the lookout for me and did find it for me and sent it. So Sex and Candy was, of course, all over the radio. St. Joe on the School Bus is one I can remember. Poppies. A Cloak of Elven Kind, and I think that's the only 3 or 4 I can recall. But this is one that I listened to constantly back in '97 when it was released. Portishead. I think this is the album that I was introduced to Portishead. This is their second album. Cowboys was the track that just kind of blew me away. I mean, Beth Gibbons' voice was just haunting on that one. And then you had songs like All Mine, Morning Air, Half Day Closing, Undenied. It just sounded like it was songs from a James Bond movie that was kind of being scratched on and had like electronic beats and stuff to it. So always a favorite of mine from Portishead. Alright, this one came out as I was kind of coming down off my high from the anthologies. 95, you had the first anthology CD released. Then you had Anthology 2 in 96, and I think Anthology 3 came out in 97. And then Paul drops this on us. This is his album, Flaming Pie. An excellent album. Paul was really smart to release that after all the success of the anthology series. But this is just excellent. It features 14 new songs from Paul. There's guest appearances from Ringo. Steve Miller even plays on a few of these songs. I think on one of the songs his son James McCartney plays with him. But this had the song The World Tonight, which was an excellent single. Young Boy was great. The title track Flaming Pie. Used to Be Bad is the one I think that had Steve Miller on it. Then you got Little Willow and the very excellent track Beautiful Day. Just a great album from Paul McCartney. I know it's not one that a lot of people have, but I'm grateful to have it in my collection. I did pay a little more for it off Discogs, but it's one that I had to have. All right, we're moving into the Britpop. The Charlatans, Telling Stories. This was my introduction to the band. Just an excellent album. I forget how I discovered them. It may have been watching 120 Minutes on MTV. I know I was big into Q magazine, so I may have seen it seen them in the Q magazine. But excellent album from the band. With No Shoes, North Country Boy, Telling Stories, One to Another. Just the first side. I mean, that's some great stuff on it. Only Teething. If you're not familiar with this band, I highly suggest you go seek out this record. Stream it, whatever you have to do, but this is an excellent album and one that I listened to constantly in 1997. Still listen to it. Blur and their self-titled album. This one, I heard song 2 and I was hooked. And then they come out with the song Beetle Bum. I was like, man, I have to get that album. Then you have songs like Country Sad Ballad Man, On Your Own, Look Inside America. Just an excellent album from Blur. I know there was a rivalry between Blur and Oasis, but this, I think, was the better of the two that came out that year from each band. Speaking of Oasis, this is their album that came out in '97, and their third studio album, and this is Be Here Now, and this was released on August 21st. Not my favorite from the group, but it had some really strong songs on it. I mean, Do You Know What I Mean? I just remember that iconic video of them just kind of standing out, and the helicopters going overhead, and the smoke bombs going off. Just a awesome track to be the lead-off single. Then you have songs like Magic Pie, which was sung by Noel. Stand By Me was one that kind of got on my nerves. Fade In and Out, which has Johnny Depp playing guitar on it. Don't Go Away is a great single from this album. All Around the World, another one that kind of just got on my nerves. It was a little too much of a Beatles ripoff, but not a bad release from the band. Just not one of my favorites. Next is one that I played constantly. I had a 1988 GMC Jimmy. I was working at Best Buy at the time, and I had a CD player installed. And this is an album, CD, whatever, that I listened to constantly on repeat. This has the famous song Bittersweet Symphony, which the band was sued because they sampled some of, I think it was The Last Time. And even though Richard Ashcroft thought he had permission, he still got sued. That's finally been settled now. I think it was last year that Mick and Keith sold Richard Ashcroft, or Richard's bought the rights back from Mick and Keith for $1. So happy that that's been settled. This has Bittersweet Symphony, Sonnet, Rolling People, The Drugs Don't Work, Space and Time, Lucky Man. Just an excellent album, one that I listen to still today, and it just blows me away as to how good this album is. All right, this came out in '97, and this is the complete BBC Sessions from Led Zeppelin. I had purchased the Beatles BBC Sessions and really enjoyed it, and when this came out in '97, I jumped on it right away. I had it on CD, of course, but it was just great hearing some live performances of some of their classic hits. And it even had a song on here that I'd never heard before from the band called "The Girl I Love, She Got Long Black Wavy Hair." Other ones were like "White Summer," and I think that's it. Yeah. Excellent, excellent stuff. Great quality sounding production on this one. Led Zeppelin, the BBC Sessions. And my absolute favorite from 1997 is Radiohead's OK Computer. This was the band's third studio album. This is before they switched up their sound, but this had everything I could possibly want from Radiohead on this one. Airbag with those opening guitars, Paranoid Android with the 3 different parts kind of just mixed into one song. Exit music for a film, Letdown, Karma Police, Climbing Up the Walls, No Surprises, Lucky. Just an excellent album, and one that I still listen to today and enjoy very much. Those are all the ones that I have on vinyl. There were several other ones that I don't have that I would have liked to have shown. Silverchair, their album Freak Show, was a good one that came out that year. Manson, Attack of the Grey Lantern was another one I was heavily into. I think the song was Wide Open Space. You had Prodigy with The Fat of the Land. It had songs like Smack My Bitch Up and Firestarter. You had Third Eye Blind. You had Offspring with their album Ixnay on the Ombre. You had the Seahorses and their album Do It Yourself. It featured John Squire from the Stone Roses. It was his first project after the breakup of the Stone Roses. Excellent album. It's been released on vinyl, but it's so hard to find, and what I do see on Discogs is just too much for me to pay for an album. Well, that's going to do it for this video. That is some of my favorites from 1997. And until next time, take care. Thanks.